Today's success story is about somebody who's applying for citizenship, the N-400, but they had a lot of issues, meaning they were traveling a lot, they were out of the U.S. for over 6 months, and they had a very difficult officer and a very difficult interview. Gabby worked with the client, powered everything through. Can you tell us a little bit more what happened and what's the solution?
So this client, I think what made her the most nervous was that she was out of the country for 9 months. She went back to her home country to process her divorce. So even though she got married in the U.S., she thought it was a better idea to go get divorced, somewhere else. So she went back. She processed her divorce. It took 9 months. So when she came back, she got married, remarried to another person. The spouse was undocumented. So when she filed for her citizenship with another office, that office marked that she was single, that she was not married again. And I think it was all down to the reason of she got her green card through marriage. So her original green card was a 2-year green card, did the 751 process, got the 10-year green card, and then after she got the 10-year green card, her husband abandoned her. Also had not marked that she was out for out of the U.S. for 9 months. So when she reviewed her application after they filed, she noticed all these mistakes, and she said, I got really worried because now my application is incorrect.
Right.
So she contacted us, did a consultation. I pretty much explained what we would usually do for these type of clients. She decided to come and work with our office. So the first thing we did was we had to withdraw her previous N-400 and explain that there was erroneous information within the form that she's going to refile. Now, how do we present the real facts, and how do we go back to now saying, never mind, she's not single, she's married? And how do we prepare for an interview? Because now, why was she hiding that she was married?
Right.
There's going to be a lot of suspicion at the interview. So I already knew from the beginning that she was going to have a really tough interview, regardless of, right?
And it's not always that we withdraw every single case that has some errors on it. If there's a error on a 45 form, an N-400 form, we could continue to push it through a 751, converting it to 751 waiver. We don't always withdraw.
And then just do an addenda.
We could just do it at the interview. It was a typographical mistake. We want to add it. But this case had so many problems. She was not ready. There's a high chance it would be denied. And if there is fraud and misrepresentation on her, that would be really bad. So doing a withdrawal and doing a clean restart is just so much safer that's why we choose to do that.
So then when we refiled, we listed everything correctly and then basically started to strategize for the interview. So number one is now she has to prove that she was legitimately married to the person that petitioned for her green card. Right? So gathering bona fide information that she probably used for her 485 interview, the first one, maybe even for her 751, but then even after the 751, because obviously if you just file 751 for the purpose of getting a 10-year green card and then you separate and divorce, how is that going to be interpreted at the interview? So gathering all the information, coaching her as to, okay, this is how you can explain, looking at all the evidence, sitting together like multiple times, phone calls, just to kind of like clarify questions and how do I go about this now? So just thinking about the long run. And I think this is the most important thing of doing a strategy sessions is not just thinking about how to solving this problem, but how the problems that you may encounter during this process are going to affect your future. We refiled. It took 3 months and a half, and she was scheduled for an interview. She went down to Los Angeles, so she explained to me that she would go to Mexico almost every other weekend to see her parents, especially she had been going through a lot lately. She got divorced, and then this law office did something wrong, and she was just going through a lot in life. So she said, I go to visit my parents every other weekend. So it was a lot of little different steps that made a huge impact. So bona fide marriage, documentation, and physical presence, and good moral character.
Wow.
So it was a lot. It was a big case. So she went to the interview, and yes, her interview was pretty tough. It was really, really hard. The officer kept asking questions about her previous marriage and how long were they married, and when did they separate, and why did they decide to divorce. How long before they got married they met, and why didn't they have any children.
Right.
So it was it was a very tough interview. Then after she answered all those questions, the officer was kind of satisfied. Then it was like, why are you leaving the country so often? What's going on? Do you have a business out there? Are you running a company out there? What is holding you back? So she basically explained, oh, my parents are back home, and I've been going through a very difficult time, which was all true. And then here is all my tax returns. Here is my employment records. Here is, my community ties. So she had church attendance documents. She had, so just strategizing properly, she was prepared to fight this battle. And then when she showed that to the officer, it was like, okay, and what have you been doing to contribute to your community? So she was volunteering with the city where she lives and with her employer to plant trees in different parks. And she had been doing that for like 5-6 years. It's not like right now, because a lot of people, start building evidence right before they file for the citizenship nowadays. So she went. Her interview took an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
So she was there for a good while. The officer is kind of like doing their thing. She said at some points of the interview, the officer was just quiet in the computer, just typing and writing a lot of information. So she was frightened. Like, it was a really tough officer. Like, he's not even making eye contact with me. He's not even talking to me. He's just like doing his thing, writing. And then so when she came out, she gave us a call. She pretty much gave me a rundown of everything. And I said, for now, we can just, what was the outcome? Like, at the end, what did he say? That he's going to send something in the mail if he needs more information, or that he's going to send me a decision of, how my application is going to be adjudicated. It took good 3 weeks before her out ceremony was scheduled.
Wow. Awesome.
So, very happy for her. Now she's working on petitioning for the new husband, but that also comes with a lot of strategy.
Yeah, right.
And,
that's the next step.
That's the next step. But so she was extremely grateful just for the, the moral support. And usually, as we've always said, you were usually on call when the clients go to interview.
Right.
We usually check in and check out because we understand how difficult it can be, right? Like, if you're going to a hearing, anytime that you go to a government office, is naturally, something where you're like, okay, I hope everything goes okay. Just extremely happy that, she got to get her citizenship and that she's now ready for the next step.